welcome everyone in Mr. Koptelov's technology class, 8th grade. Hope you're having a good first week at school. And UH is now starting its first week of school, as you can see by all the people that are around here walking right now. My name is Nathan Howell, and I'll be helping Mr. Koptelov this semester teach you guys more about science and technology, and hopefully make it more interesting than what you thought was possible in that process. And since you can't actually come to the University of Houston and see what it is I do here, I thought I'd take you on a little tour of what it's like for me here. So we're going to start here in the main center of the heart of campus. We have the big library behind me and the big fountain, and lots of students congregate here and play frisbee and have lunch and do other fun things here. And I'd just like to tell you more about our university. We've been here since 1927. We have 36,000 students on 550 acres. It's really big, and it's 33 times larger than your middle school, but it feels small to a lot of us because we all get to know each other really well and work well together. We have a lot of different interesting programs here, like geophysics and chemical engineering and English and storytelling and law, and we even have hotel and restaurant management. And there's a lot of different kinds of people that you'll meet here from different countries, even from Pakistan and Turkey and India and China, and even foreign countries like Oklahoma and Louisiana, where they speak things really differently than what you're probably used to. Now, not only do we have a lot of great academic programs, but we have a lot of great places to eat food when you're on a study break, like Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell and Pizza Hut and Starbucks, and anything you can think of that's bad for you, we'll serve it here. So enjoy the view while you're here, and we'll get on to the next part of our tour. Okay everyone, so now that you've seen the center of the campus, you can see the next part of what we really do here as graduate students in the Environmental Engineering Department. We get to go out in the field and grab things. It's kind of like camping with a mission. So here we are at what we call the Summer J office, where we store all of our awesome field stuff. Inside of this room you'll find amazing things that you could not believe in your imagination until you actually see it. So room 186, don't forget it for next time you're over here. Let's go on in. So it probably doesn't look like much right now, but this place is a mess because we do so much work in here we don't have time to clean it up a lot of times. So I'll take you back over here and you can see some of the main instruments that we use. Back here. What I have in here, this is one of the main instruments we use. You use a pencil for almost everything that you do at school. Well, this is a water quality probe. We get to measure things that are in the water to see how good or bad in general the water is, and we use this and often in the field as you use your pencil. So how it works is you have this little segment on here at the bottom, and there's probes in here that measure things in the water, like how much salt is in the water and the temperature and the pH and things that you might be able to feel with your hands, but you wouldn't be able to put a number to it. So we stick it down in the water, and then we can run it, and you can hear it connecting, and then it loads. Here we go. Sorry.
Because the lights reflect.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So as you can see, there's things like temperature, degrees Celsius. You're probably used to Fahrenheit. It has the time. And SAL, sal is salinity, so that's basically how much salt is in the water. When it gets above around 2 to 3 on this meter here, you can actually start tasting salt in the water, which most of the water in our bayous around where you live you shouldn't be able to see. So we get down all this information and then we record it in a book that we can later put into a computer, which I'll show you as we go along here. Okay, and so you might be wondering why I'm wearing all this gear. And it's not because being in this room is unsafe, it's because we need to wear lots of interesting gear when we go out in the field. This is a life jacket because we go out on boats a lot, and this is a hard hat because we often go in places where people drop things on your head a lot, or they just don't feel safe with the environment people walking around and they're not having their head protected. So we'll see some more of that gear as we go along. Now over here, these are all our big white fridges that store all the samples that we have. It's important that in environmental sampling, as soon as you get the sample, you want to take it and put it in the fridge, and it has to stay really cold. Because if you don't, then the sample can start growing things, and if it starts growing things, then you don't really have a very accurate sample. This one doesn't actually have any samples in it, but this one you'll probably be interested to see what's inside. I don't know if y'all can guess what's inside this fridge. You're about to be shocked though. These are actual fish that we catch in the field. I'll show you how we catch them in a minute. This is a frozen catfish, looks to be about 2 feet long, probably about 5 or 6 pounds. So it's a good little fish that maybe is good enough to eat sometimes, but you might not want to eat it because we've tested these fish and found out they actually have more chemicals in them than what you really want to have in your body. So you want to be wary of such things. But we store them in here, and then we cut them up just like you do for eating, except we send it to a lab, and they analyze and tell us how much chemicals or other things are in it that are not so good for you. We just keep them on ice. They'll be all right, guys. Don't worry.
No.
Oh yeah, and they can smell bad. Oh yeah. So over here, I'd like to point out this little device. I mentioned on that we collect all kinds of things. We collect fish and water and sediment. Now, if you can imagine, this is a device that's kind of like one of those claws at the pizza place that grabs the toys out once you put the money in.
Wow, Squidward, you flipped them over. That takes an awful amount of skill.
Well, thank you for saying so.
We go out into a boat and we drop this on the ground, just like that. And it's really heavy and it digs into the sand. Then when you pull up on it, you can see it grab and scoop. And if it was on the bottom of a river, you'd have a whole bunch of sediment in here. Then we can take that sediment and we can put it in a jar. I don't have one exactly, but it would look something a little like one of these. Inside of this amber bottle. You put it in the fridge and keep it cold, send it off to a lab, and then they give you a reading just like they do for the fish. Also, we have little boats like this. This is just a kayak. It's kind of like a canoe. But when we take it out into the field, we put on a life jacket and go sit out there, and we can drop that dredge in there that I showed you, or we can scoop some water. Or sometimes we even just play around in the water because we're bored and we need something else to do. So let me take you over here to one other little area of our space. As you're heading towards the back, as you can see, this place is huge because we have so many things. We sample so many kinds of stuff. Over here we store all kinds of interesting little gadgets, lights and batteries and radios and bug spray and anything that you want to go camping with and more. And specifically on this wall we have all kinds of interesting little rods that you use. Like this is a rod that we stuck a little jar on the end. This looks like a big giant soup ladle. And it's interesting when you're doing sampling, sometimes you don't really know how to grab the sample. There's not a machine or a device that someone made, so we have to make up our own thing to grab a sediment or sometimes reach 20 feet across the water and get this specific spot of dirt that we need that we couldn't get any other way. So as we're moving over to one of our last areas in the computer room, I'll point out these nets to you guys. These are the nets that we actually catch those fish in that you see. And if you pull them out, I mean, they don't look like much, but there's a whole bunch of tiny little fibers in there that when you spread it out across the water, like 30 feet wide, it drops down about 7 feet, we can catch over 50 pounds of fish or more in these nets when we pull them up a lot, and it actually takes a long time to get enough fish like you see in there. So they smell really bad when you first bring them back. They're pretty good now. And then lastly, this is yet again another computer room, and here we keep some of our records. And remember I told you that we wrote stuff down in the books that we have. As you can see, we always take notes, and here we go into the field. Here was, I guess that's April 17th. We were out sampling. We record different readings in here, just like what you saw from that meter. We'd read off the screen and write it in here. Everything that we do, we record in here so we can look at it later and not forget what we did, because we go out so many times, there's no way we'd remember it all. And over here we have a computer station. As you can see right now, we got the radar going over here. This is central Houston. Now right now, this area that's dark and green, I mean, there's actually a storm in the area. And a lot of times, there's certain times when the storm comes and we have to be ready to go out because we want to figure out what's in the rain, what's there that's bad and what's there that's good. So when we see this start to come towards our area, it means we get the call to go out and go in the truck and take our equipment and try and brave the rain and grab some water for a couple hours in the middle of the storm. So we have raincoats and we have boots and everything that we need to protect ourselves. Sometimes the water rises so fast when it's raining that we actually have to wear these life vests, because if we don't, we can get swept away before we know it. So thanks for coming to our space here. This is the Schlumberger storage facility. We collect the samples and we bring them back here. We send them off to be analyzed, and then later we actually do the analysis, which we'll go to next.